Alright everyone, I'm here to give you my Breaking Bad review. Usually I do this every Wednesday, but for the last 3 weeks I haven't been doing that. I haven't done it, I think, for 3 weeks. So yeah, it's just been a while. 3 weeks ago, I was getting ready for Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving was like the day after. My sister was here, I wanted to spend time with her. And then last week I was catching up on The Walking Dead and doing the Walking Dead marathon. I did like a crap load of videos on that. So yeah, and now that I'm just going to give you 3 this week to make up for 2 weeks, and then I'll do the one that I was supposed to do today. So you're gonna get 3 Breaking Bad reviews. So let's get it in. Let's get it started. So I hadn't reviewed the show in 3 weeks, so I didn't remember any of the storylines that had happened or anything. So you're gonna have to bear with me on that part. This episode is called Negro Y Azul, and it came out on April 19th, 2009. Yeah, so this episode, the name's in Spanish, and if you don't know what each word means, Negro means black, I think Y means and Azul means blue. So if you don't know what that means, and it starts out, let me just pull out my notes. It starts out with this Mexican mariachi band. You know, it was an awkward start at first, just because I never seen this before. You know, it was in Spanish, so it was kind of hard to understand. Luckily, they put like subtitles there, so you could see what they were saying. But I have like glasses that are 2 prescriptions old, so I had to like pause it every 2 seconds and see what they were saying. That, and I took notes about what they said too. So I'm gonna read you the lyrics to the song. I'm not gonna sing the song. I'm just gonna read it. And since it was in Spanish, if they said something that happened, like I'll just read the song and then talk to you guys about what happened. So the song was called Les Cures das Sing. I don't know how to say this. Yes, it's in Spanish, and it's the band is actually Negro Y Azul. So I guess that makes sense why they would call it this episode. And yeah, I took notes on what happened. So it said the city's called Duke, the state's called New Mexico. So anytime it said like anything that was going on, I guess if you couldn't read it, it would show like in the background. So when it talked about New Mexico, it showed the map of like New Mexico. Which I thought was pretty cool. Among the gangsters, the gringos, I don't really know what the gringos, fame is inflated because of the drug they created. So it showed drugs when it did that. They say the color is blue, so it showed, you know, the meth that was being created. And the quality pure. This potent drugs running through the city. So then it showed like a city, and no one could stop it if they wanted to. The Cardinals running hot because they weren't getting respect. I think it showed Tuco and his group. If you don't remember Tuco, he's the one that kidnapped Walter and Jesse, and he's dead now. So I think this would like this mariachi band was part of his group. And they were singing this song too with like what looked like the camper, not the camper, what's it called? Not the trailer. The RV was in the background that Walter and Jesse used to cook the meth. They weren't getting respect. Talking about some Heisenberg, and Heisenberg is Walter's fake name. Who owns the market now. So it showed Heisenberg. It showed Walter too, dressed up all, you know, like he's like hidden in disguise. Who owns the market now? No one knows the man since they've never seen his face. The Cardinals about respect. They ain't forgiven, but that homie's dead. He just doesn't know it yet. Heisenberg's fame has got down to Michigan from far, far away. They want to taste that meth. That blue stuff has crossed the border. They could show the border afterwards. Now New Mexico's living up to its name. So then it showed New Mexico again. Looks just like Mexico. And all the drugs it's hiding. Except there's a gringo boss and his known as Eisenberg. The Cardinals running hot because they weren't getting respect. No one knows the man since they've never seen his face. The fury of the Cardinal. I don't know. It's Cartel, so I don't know how. I think that's how you say that word. Ain't no one escaped it yet, but that's he's dead. He just doesn't know it yet. So then that was that. Let me just put my papers that have been loose back in here. I had to write this down. It took forever. But when they talked about how Eisenberg's going to be dead, it showed Walter on the ground dead, pretty much. And it showed there's people who have been like destroyed, they're bloody and dead, and Mexican money. I thought it was good. So then it cut to the theme song. So I'll say that wasn't a bad start. It looks like this group's going to be trouble. I just don't know what they're going to do yet, because we didn't see him again. I mean, technically this is a spoiler, but we didn't see him again throughout this episode. I think we technically did see him, but we just didn't see him. So then it cuts to the theme song, then it cuts back, and Walter, this kid got like a 58 on a test, and Walter is teaching him the question he got wrong. He's teaching him about bonds, and the kid's like, yeah, I got it. And Walter's like, well, by the result of your test score, it looks like you don't get it. So then he's like, well, I was close, 58. And then he tells Barry, I think that was his name, that it's no close. There's right answers or wrong answers. Close didn't put the men on the moon. So then he says that he loves chemistry, and he studied really hard. He just doesn't have the attention span. So he asks Walter if he can just let it slide, and it's all bullshit. So then he's smiling, like he acts like he thinks he's gonna say yes because he's like going, ugh. And then he's like smiling at him, but then he just says, "Don't bullshit a bullshitter." The answer is no. Next time, apply yourself. So I thought that was awesome. I guess I can understand from Walter's perspective. The kid pretty much openly lied to him. They pretty much did. He pretty much bullshitted him, and that pissed him off. I bet if he didn't do that, he would have let it slide. I mean, probably not. I can understand from the kid's perspective. It was just 2 points. He really needs to pass, too, because he'll go to summer school. I'm not really going to talk about this that much because we don't really talk about this. So then when the kid leaves from like the walls of the ceiling, if you've seen him in school, you know what I'm talking about. He pulls out the second cell phone that he has, and he tries to get a hold of Jesse, but he hasn't been getting a hold of him. And then he says, when I said handle it, referring to the family that he had killed the last episode. Don't. So then, he doesn't really answer him, and Walter goes to his house, tries to knock on the door, tries to get him to come out, and then the manager comes on, and I think her name is Jane, and he wants to get in, and he makes up a lie. We find out, too, that Jesse's been lying about his last name, and his name is Jesse Jackson. So Walter lies and says that he's his father, Mr. Jackson, and he wants to get in because he hasn't been calling him. So then she's like, I don't really get involved in family, and if Jesse doesn't want you in, you're not getting in, because she has like a master key. So then Jesse lets him in, and it tells him everything that pretty much happened. How he ended up, everything that happened with that family. Jesse's pretty much kind of crazy right now because he just seen that happen. So then, and the police did get her, and Walter's worried that he could identify him, and he says you could. And he's like, the girl couldn't identify her own butt cheek, which was funny. And then Badger calls him and tells him that he has this. He lies and says that it's the large pants, but it's the meth. So then Jesse, I guess, doesn't really want to participate in this anymore after everything that's happened. So he has Walter take over because he thinks he's a bad business then. And yeah, he's going to take over. So now Hank's at his new job. He does desk work now. And the weirdest thing is the guys are kind of strange. Because Hank had gotten a promotion. So then there's like this mariachi guy that sits there that is like a statue of him, and you have to like know your enemies, get close to them. So he pretty much doesn't look like he likes the job. It seems like he's nervous, but it pretty much looks like he's not a fan of this job. So then what happens next? Walter meets up with Badger and the other guys, and they make the deals with them. And everyone thinks that Jesse actually killed the father from the last episode, but he really didn't. You know what happened. So, Walter just says, you didn't hear it from me, because they get concerned about Jesse since they haven't heard about him. So then we see Skylar. She's at the boutique, I think it's called. It's like an accounting place. She's applying for a job, which is strange. I don't think Walter knows about it yet. So she meets Ted. Ted and her met before, but she sees Ted, pretty much tells him everything that's going on, and she wants the new job. So she gives him a job. He gives her a job. He finds out this guy has twins too. So this is pretty good stuff. So then, Skylar has a new job now. So what happens next is Walter wants to start selling meth now all across the city because they can make him more money. And Jesse doesn't want to do it because that's not our territory and we're not used to that. The other drug dealers will get mad, and he's like, well, we're going to take this because no one's going to mess with them because everyone thinks that Jesse killed that guy. So then Jesse doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to be known as a murderer, but then Walter throws an example as like a blowfish, which is what Mrs. Puff is in SpongeBob, the blowfish, how she puffs up every time SpongeBob gets in an accident, and he says that the blowfish puffs up to scare away the smaller fish, and that's what you're going to be. You're going to be the blowfish. So then he gets confidence in himself, and then he smokes his weed, which he was smoking earlier. Then Walter begins to cough, and Marie finds out that Skylar has a new job now, and Ted's still there, and we find out that Ted got drunk one night and sexually harassed her, which was weird. I wouldn't want to work with someone like that, but I guess they really need the money because Elliot dropped, isn't going to be paying for his stuff anymore. And I guess it's kind of concerning too because she's still pregnant, 7 months pregnant, and you just shouldn't be working probably if you're 7 months pregnant. But it's not like a job. She sits down all day, so I guess it's not really a bad job. So then Walter comes home and he was coughing at Jesse's house, and then he coughs at home. Something probably got into his system. It's still a cancer thing. So then Walter the next morning finds out that Skylar has a new job because he's all dressed up for it. And he's happy for her, because she needs the job. Then Jesse, I think, meets up. Oh, no. I forgot a thing. Hank met up with this guy. Oh, man, I forget his name. It's Turtle in Spanish. And they're trying to, make a deal. It's all like a setup. I think this is like undercover work that police pretend to be drug dealers, and then they get the guys. I think that's it. Or I think what happens is they go pretend to make the deal with these guys, this guy because he didn't really seem like he was in with on him, and then they arrest him. So then Hank, I guess, doesn't really like this. He's like, why don't we just make the deal? Where is it happening? So then because he's very slow. So then I'm just gonna say this now. Well, Skylar finds out. Skylar's getting her office ready for work, and she finds out that Ted and his wife split up, and he was drinking wine like 10 in the morning. And then he says, let's go out for lunch Monday. So I don't know if she's really suspicious about him yet. I mean, I'm suspicious about this guy, so we're going to see what happens. At first, it kind of seems like maybe Skylar might cheat on Walter. Who knows? Because their marriage hasn't been going well. I mean, it was fine this episode and the last one, but, you know, it really hasn't been that great. I mean, it seems like it's fine sometimes. Other time it's not fine. So we're going to see what happens, though, with their marriage. So then what happens is Hank and all the police, well, the DEA, police, whatever you want to call them, are waiting for this guy, and they can't find him anywhere, and they say stuff in Spanish because this guy can speak, and Hank doesn't know how to speak Spanish. I think they were trashing Hank. And Hank finds the guy. And the weirdest part was when they go to get him, his head was on a turtle shell. So Hank gets creeped out by it, which I don't blame him. I mean, I would probably freak out if I saw that too. So then they're all like, what, you never seen a decapitated head on a turtle shell before? When have they seen that? So that was like weird. It was kind of funny, I guess, to see a head on a turtle shell. How they got it there, I don't know. Whoever did that. Then what happens is an explosion happens, and everybody pretty much dies except for one guy whose legs got cut off. And Hank, you could hear like a buzzing sound because I don't really think you could hear what he was saying because of this noise that was happening. There's probably the mariachi band, but I'm not exactly sure yet because then it cut to it went to black, which would have cut to commercial. And then we find out that Jane works part-time as a tattoo artist, and Jesse's like, why don't you have tattoos yourself? And she's like, I don't really like commitment. So then this guy on a motorcycle comes up and says, hey, you're Pinkman. You're Jesse Pinkman, because he knows about what he did. Well, supposedly what he did. So then she's like, I thought your name was Jesse Jackson. So then he just walks off. And he meets up with his Badger and the other guys that, you know, are in business together with. And now what's going to happen is they're going to sell the drugs around the city. And they're going to have so Badger and that group works for Jesse, but Badger and his group are going to have people that work for them, if that makes sense. And you know, Jesse's like the king, and they're all like the knights and the court jesters. And so then he's pretty psyched about it. He tells Walter that he's going to make mad money. And then Walter says, I don't think we're charging enough. We need to charge more. So then what happens is Jesse's at home the next day. He gets a new flat screen TV, and it's searching for a signal that's taking forever. So then he Jane comes home, and he goes out to have a cigarette. I think it was only because Jane went out there because he listened to her, and admits to himself that Walter's not his father and his real name's Jesse Pinkman, and asks if you're not going to kick him, if he's going to get kicked out because he really likes it here and he needs to stay there. And Jane says, whatever you do off the property isn't my business. So I have a feeling something might happen on their property. And then he asks her to come in and check out his flat screen TV. And then they're just sitting there waiting for it to work. And he's like, man. And then he talks about, too, how on this TV, I bet the people who are black are going to look even more black. Which was kind of racist to say. But, you know, it is what it is. And then they hold hands. So it's like a flirt. And then they play that mariachi band music without the lyrics. So I thought it was, then the episode ended. So I actually liked this episode. A lot of downtime, but a lot of good stuff. The highlight of the episode was probably, I just really liked it. I think I liked the whole thing, pretty much. Maybe Skylar getting a job. The guys, you know, Turtle, the guy Turtle in Spanish, his name, whatever Turtle in Spanish is, that's that guy's name. Um, Head being on a turtle, which was kind of funny too, because Turtle in Spanish is his name, and his head's on a turtle. So that's kind of like, I guess it made sense. And I can't wait to see what happens the next one, because I'm going to watch it right now. So that's pretty much it, guys. See you later. And if I didn't mention before, this was Season 2, Episode 7. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's going to be on the title anyways, but just wanted to mention that. And subscribe. Subscribe.